Hi, I'm Bill Gaines, host of the Outdoor Review, the place where we educate, connect, and learn to protect our outdoor traditions. Today, I have a very good friend of mine, Randy Sherman from Sherman's Gunsmithing with us. How are you doing today, Randy?
I'm doing great, Bill. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you without a broken gun in my hands for once. It's good to see you. At any rate, hey, thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. I'm really looking forward to this. First of all, tell our listeners exactly a little bit of a background on yourself.
Well, I was born in Fair Oaks, California, and working on a working ranch, being raised there all my life up until 17. And bow and arrow in my hand, and the fields and the cows and the horses, and all that time learning all about preservation. And I was impressed when I heard what you guys were doing, and I watched some of your blogs and Wanda's ideas. And kudos to you, Wanda. That's a great thing you guys are doing. So, the preservation and conservation on a farm is a way of life, and it's a way of life that a lot of people don't understand. And it's great to be here and share some of what I do as a gunsmith, and to spend some time with a friend like you.
No, I appreciate that, Randy, and I'm enjoying spending time with you tonight. Tell our viewers, what is a gunsmith? What do you do anyway?
I get that a lot. People, I'll tell somebody I'm a gunsmith, and they say, "What's that?" Or "What do you do?" A gunsmith is kind of like an auto mechanic. If you got a Toyota, you don't go to the Ford dealer. You specialize, as a mechanic has to do. And a gunsmith's the type of mechanic that works on guns the way an auto mechanic works on a car. We're playing with 65,000 pounds per square inch and things that can hurt you. So you got to know what you're doing, but you can't do it all. You have to specialize though. So for myself, for instance, I specialize in fix and repair. By that I mean I'm going to take a gun that is malfunctioning, it isn't working, it's broken, and I'm going to make it work. There's all kinds of other things you can specialize in, aside from, the different types of guns, shotguns or rifles or pistols or revolvers or whatever. Military guns, antiques, I mean, the list goes on. But what do you do with them? And as fix and repair, I can work on pretty much all of those because I studied design, function, and repair. So I learned systems. So the same way an auto mechanic goes to ASE school and learns brakes, and then they learn the carburation systems and whatever, the fuel injection and all these different things, I have to learn all of those different systems on guns. And there's only so many systems under the sun. And there's no end to the kinds of guns and the types and the things and who designed them and whatever, but there's only so many systems. So if you know how it works, you know how to fix it.
Right. Well, as you know, I've got my share of guns, and as a result,
Yep.
And I do a lot of hunting, right? So a lot of hunting and shooting. So I've had my share of gun problems over the years.
Well, you're a duck hunter, Bill.
I know.
And in my shop, I have a different scale for charging duck hunters than I do normal people.
Right. Yeah. Because we're not normal.
I can say that because I've never been bit by the bug. I was warned a long time ago, don't go duck hunting. You'll get bit by it, and that's it. But I seriously have dumped lots of pond water out of the buttstocks of shotguns.
I bet you have. I know. We get those guns just beat up. We're out there in the rain and the mud and the slop. And
yeah. I likes me a well-used gun.
It's well used for sure. But I'll tell you, I've taken, long before I knew you, I had gun problems then too, right? And I've taken my guns over the years to dozens of different gunsmiths. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot more bad ones out there than there are good ones out there.
I've been doing it professionally for about 10 years now. And I still got a lot to learn. You want to know what they charge, and what's your turnaround time, what's your training, what's your background. There's only a couple of ways to really get training in this gunsmithing world. And one of them is you go to a site-based school. Most of those schools use AGI's system incorporated in their school. It started a long time ago. Bob Dunlap was arguably the best fix and repair man in the country, if not in the world. He'd been a gunsmith for 50, 60 years. He recently passed away, unfortunately. But he had, Gene Kelly was a student of his at the Lassen School of Gunsmithing way back when. Wow. And when Bob got ready to retire, Gene went to him and said, "Bob, what's going to happen to the design, function, repair courses that you teach?" He goes, "I don't know." He says, "Well, where are they?" He goes, "They're in my head." He put together the design, function, and repair courses from Bob Dunlap's courses, and they're all on DVD now. The really cool part is now, given I wasn't hands-on in a classroom, the good part was, if anybody's been to school, any kind of school, you can only take so copious of notes. You can only remember so much. I just plugged the DVD back in and there it is.
Right.
So I can refer to those anytime I need to. And it's there. I also belong to the American Gunsmithing Club. It's where all of us wizards get together and hobnob. And anytime I have a question, I can ask the instructors. I can ask the other graduates. So it's a brotherhood. There's a whole bunch of us. But to find somebody who's certified like I am by AGI, meaning I've had the training, I've taken the test, I know what I'm doing. I've got the insurance, I've got all of the credentials and the FFL and everything. We're few and far between. So those are the kinds of things you're looking for when you want to find a good gunsmith, just like you would for a good auto mechanic.
Good gunsmiths don't have to advertise.
Right.
I mean,
right.
because you go to your buddy who's got guns, had guns, and you say, who's your man on this stuff, right? And a lot of people have come to me and they said, Bill, I don't know what I'm trying to get, but these guys can't fix it. I said, I got the guy for you. I don't know how many people I sent your way, but I sent a bunch.
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I try real hard not to badmouth another man's work or another gunsmith. We are a fraternity, but there's been times that one for instance, a guy brought me a revolver. I think it was a Smith & Wesson, and the cylinder wouldn't open. Right, it barely would turn, and he'd had it at another shop for 6 months. And when they went to give it back, it still didn't work. He demanded it back because they're not fixing it, and they charged him, or they weren't going to give it back. Well, I knew already what was wrong with it. It was 99% probability. And so while I looked him dead in the eyes, I had his gun in my hand and I turned the extractor rod back in, opened the gun and handed it to him while we were talking. He about fell over. He said, "What?" He said, "What I owe you?" I said, "Nothing. You've already been taken to the cleaners." And I said,
right.
"But it does need a little more work to fix it right." But that was what the problem was. So things like that happen more often than it should. If you don't know what you're doing, just tell them. And I don't have a problem telling you, no, that's not my wheelhouse. I'm not comfortable doing that, or I don't know.
Right.
But I can always help you find out. I have the whole AGI behind me. I can send the gun to Coquille, Oregon if I have to.
Mhm.
Anything, if I screw it up, I can fix it. If I can't, I have gunsmiths that I can trust that can, our instructors. So that's a pretty good gig right there. The funny part is these guns come in and they're broken. So I'm always playing with broken guns, and it's never the guy's fault. It's almost always the brother-in-law's fault. Sometimes it's their kid's fault. And
Right.
one time it was the wife's fault. I had a guy bring in a 6-inch barreled Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum once, and the barrel was full of squibs. For people that don't know what a squib is, that's a bullet didn't make it out the barrel. It's stuck in there. Well, this one was from about 1/8 of an inch of the end of the barrel, clear back squib loads all the way back until the cylinder was locked. You couldn't open it. I drilled them all out, got them all out without damaging the barrel. By the time I counted the lead, the jackets, and everything, he had to have fired 6 rounds, reloaded, fired 6 rounds, reloaded, fired one more for it to have that many stuffed in there like that.
I'm surprised that barrel just didn't absolutely just explode.
I know that's a testament to Smith & Wesson, I'll tell you. So I do meet people that should not own guns. And I have on occasion refused to fix a gun for some people.
Oh, have you really?
Sometimes it's just a matter of, you're 80 years old, your hand's shaking, and your gun doesn't work because you dropped it and broke it. I'm not going to fix it for you. But along those lines, when I started here about 10 years ago doing this, I had a thing where I didn't charge World War II veterans any labor. Okay. I had one time, I got a phone call. This guy took about 3 or 4 phone calls. I could tell he was pretty old. Finally, he called and I said, got to get the whole, I pulled over the road and I talking to him and I figured, oh, you're a World War II veteran. Yeah. He was on Iwo Jima. I'm going, wow. I'm talking to him. He goes, turns out he was one of the guys that helped take Mount Suribachi. Okay. So I said, I got to meet this guy. I said, and I told him he just had a revolver that had been dropped, Smith & Wesson, that broke the hammer off. So I had to find a new hammer. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to charge you labor. And for what you did, I'm not going to charge you for parts either.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So I fixed the gun. And you know that great generation, they got to pay their way. So after I'd gotten it all fixed, he came in and he pushed a little flag across the glass counter to me. And I kind of had an idea what it was. And I said, I can't take that. His wife was standing there with him. Her eyes got real big. She said, get it out of my house. Whoa, this flag right here that he gave me, he would not take no for an answer. Okay. He took this off of the dead body of an Imperial Japanese soldier on Mount Suribachi. He was wounded on Mount Suribachi, and his wife said, yeah, when I cut his hair, you can still see where the bullet went through his helmet, zipped around behind his ear and the back of his head, still scarred there. Amazing man. A lot of times I'll have a guy in his maybe 40s comes in with this beat up old broken gun and says, this was my grandfather's gun. He gave it to my father, and I remember shooting it with grandpa and with dad. And now grandpa's gone, and usually his dad had just passed away and he inherited it. And he's got a kid old enough to go shoot. He wants to go shoot with him. He says, and usually it's I've taken a couple of places and nobody can fix it. It just never works. It won't shoot. Or maybe they never tried. So those are my favorites, and I put a lot of extra care and love into those, and I get them running for them. So the next generation has those memories with dad. And one time I was coming out of Walmart store, right? And this guy comes running across going, hey. I'm thinking I'm getting attacked, right? I'm getting ready to fight. And this, yeah, just no kidding. This guy comes up like that. And then he says, hey, I don't know if you remember me. And I kind of did, but I don't always remember my customers. I remember their guns. I spend a lot more quality time with the gun than I do the customer. Right? Yeah. And so anyway, he says, you fix that 22 for me. I go, oh, yeah, I remember. The guy was tearing up and starting to shed tears. I almost do thinking about it and thanking me profusely because you know what? He says, Dad passed away, you fixed the gun, and I got it out there and I shot it with my kid, and it brought back such memories. He stood there in the parking lot shaking my hand and thanking me for 5 minutes. That's what turns me on. You just meet these wonderful people. I had a guy came in about 6 months ago in a huge hurry, and he was on his way to Montana or somewhere, going elk hunting. And I was like, well, you got a problem with your scope, and I mean, it's late on a Friday, and I can't get it back to you until next week. Oh no, this goes this hunt, right? I said, I'll do it. I don't have perfect, it'll be because I don't have all my tools here, but I know good enough to got it right. And he says, what I owe you? I said, nothing. I'm not charging for over-the-counter work like that because that's not my quality of work like that, but I did what I could for you. He says, if I get one, I'll give you some steaks. I said, okay, I hear that all the time. It doesn't usually happen. About a month ago, he came in with a bag of elk, and it was all kinds of, some backstrap and some all kinds of sausage and these food sticks. Must have been $200 worth of elk. It's a big grocery bag full of elk. And I'm going, whoa. I had a kid bring in his dad's gun once. It was a Model 99 Savage. And he needed some work done on that. And in the buttstock, I found a bunch of hunting licenses and tags from the 20s that I took them out, and they were in really nice shape. And I got this little plastic thing to put them in so you could set up on your desk, and I did that just for him because he was telling me the whole story about his dad who's just passed away. We had a California Highway patrolman come in and he brings a big black case and he puts it on the counter and he opens it up. He's fully uniformed during the day, middle of his shift. And he picks up and he hands it to the guy behind the counter next to him. And I took it from him immediately. And I pulled back the charging handle and out came a live round. Yeah. This guy looked like 3 shades of red and went, oh my God. He said, that's my own gun. And I just came from the range and I had no idea that was in there. Oh, now, I was a patrolman in California, some of the best trained law enforcement in the world. Right. And there it was, So I was going to start a wall of shame when I started gunsmithing. And that wall of shame was going to be all the bullets that came out of all the guns that they told me were empty. I quickly realized I'd run out of wall.
Happens that often, huh?
Often, you would not believe. They come in and they have no idea there's a live round in the chamber and it's cocked.
Taken so many guns to you over the years, but I've even had you, Randy, and I don't know who else would ever do this. I brought you guns where you couldn't even get a part for them, and you've manufactured the part for them. I mean, you made it in your own shop, which is, I think, pretty impressive, actually.
But often it's like a firing pin that you can't get. I can retip most of them. There's ways to do that. I've made lots of flat springs. It's labor intensive doing it by hand, but it works. And again, those are usually those old shooters that their dad died got kids bringing it in, and you can't get the parts, and the guns they're not worth anything because they never made a lot of them, and they weren't high quality, and then there's no parts, and that's why I often make those kind of parts. That's kind of gratifying, but it's a lot of work.
Randy, not only are you a great gunsmith, but I can tell you just enjoy it. You enjoy working on guns. I mean, why do you do it?
For me, it was a love of guns. I've always been mechanically minded. I always wanted to know what makes it tick. My dad had an old outboard motor when I was a kid. Mechanics couldn't fix it. I said, can I take it apart? Just had that, thing in me that had to do that. I was lucky. I took it all apart, got it back together, and then it ran, and I don't know why. But I didn't study small engines either. It's just one of those things. So it's for guns. It's weird because it clicks in my brain. I'm looking at them upside down. Now I get a left-handed bolt action. It really messes me up because I said, damn thing's broken. What did I do? Oh, it's upside down. I look in reverse, and I click in reverse, but it's left-handed. Oh yeah. But why do I do it? I do it for the love of the guns, the love of the Second Amendment, the love of America and our history with that, and the fascination and the connection that we as human beings here have with them.
Gunsmiths are like dentists, or they're like doctors. I mean, you don't want to go to one, right? You don't want to need.
You don't want to have to. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to have to find a gunsmith because you don't want your guns to break. But it's going to happen sooner or later. But there's things that our viewers can do to make sure that their guns last a long time, right? What kind of tips do you have, Randy, to keep people away from seeing you?
Well, as you put it, like a dentist, for instance, you don't wait until you got a toothache to go to the dentist, because now you're looking at major surgery or something. You're in a root canal. You go and you get your cleanings. Guns too. Get the directions from the manufacturer. Read the owner's manual. Know how to field strip it and clean it after you shoot it. And then use a good grade of oil, something that's a rust prohibitive. And in particular on blued guns, know that our fingers have a little bit of sweat and a little bit of salt in them. You can literally put a real nice blued gun, stick your thumb on it for a minute, and then put it away for a couple of years. You'll have a thumbprint on it. Don't play with your guns and then put them away for 6 months. Play with your guns and then wipe them off and put them away for 6 months. But take them apart and clean them. Learn how to properly lube them. I don't know how many times that people come in and the gun's malfunctioning. They said, you just came back from shooting. I said, well, it's bone dry. There's not a drop of oil in it. Learn things like your Glock. Every 2,000 to 3,000 rounds, replace the mainspring. Any modern gun with a slide that goes back and forth, that mainspring does a bunch of stuff besides load the gun again. And one of them is it slows down the slide. The slide's going to hit something on the frame to stop. And if that spring is weak, you start pounding your gun apart. Mm-hmm. You don't think about it. So follow the manufacturer's recommendations to maintenance that gun and take care of it. The other thing is just like getting your teeth cleaned at the dentist. If you're not sure, bring it to somebody reputable that knows what they're doing. Sometimes that might just be a gun shop with a guy that knows what needs to be lubed and how to do it. But probably 90% of the people that bring in gun specials, they don't have a manual to it. Most old guns that were made in any number, you can get a PDF format manual to it that shows you how to take it apart. It's all about cleaning and maintenance. Being mean to the duck hunters again here, but you guys work those guns real good, real hard. And I've got guys that come in that duck hunt that have a high-end Benelli. They paid so much money for it. Now they're mad 5 years later because they quit working. And they've never taken it apart and cleaned it. And it's been out in the brackish water and stuff, been a boat paddle, whatever. And that's going to happen. Buy a brand new Cadillac, drain the oil, and then take it around the block and see what happens.
Right.
Same thing with a gun. It's got to be cleaned and maintained. The biggest thing, though, is if you start having a problem, quit digging on it. Bring it to me. Don't start screwing things and playing with stuff you don't know. You can really get in trouble quick that way.
Right.
Keep them safe. Keep them away from the kids. In California, we have laws. You got to lock them up, basically. Mm-hmm. A lot of my customers, old guys, they just keep them in the closet. Well, they don't have any little kids around, whatever. But same with the guys that bring in the old guns and they just want it to be a wall hanger. I've got an old double barrel over my fireplace. Pretty cool looking. But I took the firing pins out. nobody can fire that gun unless they knew enough to replace those firing pins, in which case my culpability's gone. It's on them.
Yeah,
But in
no,
California, you gotta be aware in California, if somebody steals your gun and uses it to commit a crime, you're going to jail. So
Right.
you want to keep them locked up, keep them safe, keep them
Right.
dry, but keep them from moisture, but lube them. And that's basically it. You know, if you got a question, seek professional advice.
Right. Absolutely. And you're my professional.
Anytime,
Yeah.
Bill.
Randy, thank you for coming on tonight. I mean, I really enjoyed chatting with you. We could talk forever on the subject of guns and fixing guns. I mean, it's just something that we both love our shooting and hunting heritage, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody's out there and they've got a problem that they need you to take care of, how do they get a hold of it?
You can give me a call. You can text me. That also works. It's my personal cell phone, which is my business phone. And you can get a hold of me at Sherman's Gunsmithing at iCloud.com. Texting works real good, but phone calls do too. I return most of my calls, correspondences in the evenings after 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to let me know if 8 o'clock's too late to call you.
You're right. Give them that number, Randy.
It's area code 530-957-5175.
And I will personally attest to the fact if you've got firearm problems and somebody else can't fix them, Sherman's Gunsmithing probably can. So,
And if I can't, I will put you on a track to get it done elsewhere. It's best that I can.
well, you're certainly the best in my mind. And I not only love having you as a friend, but gosh darn it, it's good to have a friend that's a good gunsmith.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, Randy, well, again, thank you for coming on tonight. Really enjoyed our chat. And thank you to our viewers for tapping into the Outdoor View, the place where we educate, connect, and learn to protect our outdoor traditions. Check us out on our website at www.theoutdoorview.org, on our YouTube channel, or on our Facebook page.